I now call to order the annual meeting of the Indianapolis Public Library Board of Trustees. Ms. Gilbert, please call the roll.
Yes, Mr. Biederman.
Present.
Dr. Matata.
Present.
Dr. Payne.
Present.
Dr. Riolo.
Present.
Dr. White.
Present.
And Ms. Tribble.
Present. The board sees a quorum. The first major item is elections of officers. Pursuant to our bylaws, our officers are elected for one-year terms, and the term of office for each of our current officer ends December 31st, 2024. The term for these officer elections will be from January 1st, 2025 to December 31st, 2025. In accordance with the bylaws, no officer except treasurer may serve in the same officer role for more than 3 consecutive years. Election of officers is to be accomplished by nomination and roll call. Successful election requires the vote of a majority of the entire board, which in this case means 4 votes. We will now commence with that process.
Can we take a short recess? Just a very short one?
You're asking me?
Yeah.
Okay.
Ask me. I'm not asking you,
yeah.
but can we?
Okay. How short?
Like 3 minutes.
Okay, the meeting will be in recess for 3 minutes. All right. So, are we doing individual?
Yeah.
Okay. Nominations are now in order for the office of president. Are there nominations? Would anyone like to nominate someone for office of president?
Madam President,
Yes, Dr. White.
I nominate Ray Biederman.
Ray Biederman has been nominated. Are there any other nominations? If none, then the nominations are therefore closed, and I will call for a roll call to elect Mr. Raymond Biederman to the office of President of the Board for the term beginning January 1st, 2025, and ending December 31st, 2025. Ms. Gilbert, please call the roll.
Mr. Biederman.
Approved?
Dr. Matata.
Approved.
Dr. Payne.
Approved.
Dr. Riolo.
Approved.
Dr. White.
Approved.
And Ms. Tribble.
Approved. The motion passes unanimously. Congratulations, Mr. Biederman. Nominations are now in order for the office of Vice President. Are there nominations?
I'd like to nominate Dr. Kalamatrada.
Dr. Colin Matata has been nominated. Are there any further nominations? Hearing none, I will close the nominations, and I will call for a roll call to elect Dr. Matata to the office of Vice President of the Board for the term beginning January 1st, 2025, and ending December 31st, 2025. Ms. Gilbert, please call the roll.
Mr. Biederman.
Approved?
Dr. Matata.
Approved.
Dr. Payne.
Approved.
Dr. Riolo.
Approved.
Dr. White.
Approved.
And Ms. Tribble.
Approved. Dr. Matata has been unanimously elected to Vice President of the Board. Congratulations, Dr. Matata. Nominations are now in order for Office of Secretary. Are there nominations for the Office of Secretary?
I'd like to nominate Dr. Pat Payne.
Dr. Pat Payne has been nominated. Are there any further nominations? Hearing none, I will now close the floor for nominations, and I will call for a roll call vote to elect Dr. Patricia Payne to the office of Secretary of the Board for the term beginning January 1st, 2025, and ending December 31st, 2025. Angie, please call the roll.
Mr. Biederman.
Approved?
Dr. Matata.
Approved.
Dr. Payne.
Approved.
Dr. Riolo.
Approved.
Dr. White.
Approved.
And Ms. Tribble.
Approved. Dr. Payne has been elected unanimously as the board secretary. Congratulations, Dr. Payne. Nominations are now in order for the office of treasurer.
I'd like to nominate Mary Rankin.
Ms. Mary Rankin has been nominated. Are there any further nominations? Hearing none, I close the nominations, and I will call for a roll call vote to elect Ms. Rankin to the office of treasurer.
Mr. Biederman.
Approved.
Dr. Matata.
Approved.
Dr. Payne.
Approved.
Dr. Riolo.
Approved.
Dr. White.
Approved.
And Ms. Tribble.
Approved. The motion passes unanimously. Congratulations, Ms. Rankin, on your election. Okay, now move on to Annual Resolution 83, number 83-2024. Each year, the board approves an annual resolution to approve, confirm, or reauthorize those matters that are addressed annually. The resolution has been circulated in advance of the meeting, and it is in its standard form with 2 modifications. First, there's an increase in the hourly rate for our legal counsel, and secondly, the meeting room rates that were approved earlier this evening at our regular meeting have been incorporated into this annual resolution for the benefit of the public and our board members, because we only do this once a year. I have asked council to give us a high overview of the contents of the annual resolution, and where appropriate to provide some context or background. Mr. Brown, please.
It's the last thing on the agenda. I will be brief, but you have, in front of you, do have a copy of the annual resolution. As President Tribble mentioned, this is in the standard form that's presented each year. You have a variety of these obligations you are to do annually. You are to review your policy manual. You are to review your bylaws on an annual basis. We use this as the forum which to do that. As you know, in the last 2 years, you've undertaken a pretty extensive review as a board of the bylaws, but it is time for them to be reapproved on an annual basis. Policy manual, you've undertaken a very serious and strenuous review of that as well over the last year. But this reaffirms the policy manual as it exists tonight, including policies that you even updated tonight. There are other standard yearly approvals that are included in here. They establish annual awards that are given by the library. They authorize things like the ability to utilize facsimile signatures, so Mary doesn't have to sign every check or voucher that goes out the door. Those are some of those annual things that you do that are somewhat run-of-the-mill, but are important to make sure that you do them in accordance with statute, with best practices, or with your own bylaws. As mentioned, there is provision in here incorporating those updated fee schedule that you approved earlier tonight, which is also an annual undertaking of the board. With that, I'm happy to answer any specific questions you have, but as previously mentioned, this is in the form generally reviewed and approved at this annual meeting.
So Resolution 83, 2024, for the annual resolution, the chair will receive a motion to approve.
So moved.
Is there a second?
Second.
Is there any discussion? Hearing none, Ms. Gilbert, please call the roll.
Mr. Biederman.
Approved.
Dr. Matata.
Approved.
Dr. Payne.
Approved.
Dr. Riolo.
Approved.
Dr. White.
Approved.
And Ms. Tribble.
Approved. Okay, so the motion passes unanimously, and there being no additional business to conduct at this meeting, I will entertain a motion to adjourn. Is there a second? Is there a second?
Second.
Okay, this meeting is adjourned.